Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled a very, very special Kabbalat Shabbat and Menorat Hamaor. Because of the situation, none of us are going out to shul, we're all in. So we're going to have a Kabbalat Shabbat together over through Zoom, through the computer. The fellows are going to be leading it. It's going to be beautiful, inspiring, and fun. Let me explain a little bit what's going on. So someone said to me, "Oh, that's cute. It's a ki'ilu. It's like a Kabbalah Shabbat together." No, no, no. It is Kabbalat Shabbat together. You say, "What do you mean? You're having Kabbalat Shabbat means you're receiving Shabbat. You're accepting Shabbat over the computer. At the same time, you're running your computer. You're going to shut down the computer afterwards, and then you're having Kabbalat Shabbat. That does not make sense." Let me explain what's going on. Every time we go to shul, let's say in the summertime, when we daven early and it's still sunny out and it's not nighttime yet, we do Kabbalat Shabbat while it's still summer, while it's still light out. What are we doing? Oh, it's a ki'ilu, as if? No. Kabbalat Shabbat does not mean that when I start L'chun Ranana, I am accepting Shabbos. Let's say after L'chun Ranana, I'm in the middle of Kabbalat Shabbat in the summertime. It's not sunset yet, so the Shabbos didn't begin yet. Did I bring it in the second I said L'chun Ranana? No. Let's say I go to the bathroom. Can I still use toilet paper? Yes. At what point do we say that, hey, by you saying this or that, you accepted Shabbat? The answer is not L'chun Ranana, not even L'chadodi. The end of L'chadodi, Boi B'Shalom. So until Boi B'Shalom, unless you said, I'm accepting Shabbat now, the tefillah accept is a preparation for that moment when you're about to actually mikabel Shabbat, accept Shabbat. Which means every Shabbos of the year, when we say Kabbalat Shabbat, that is not what brings in Shabbat. If it's the summertime, since it's not sunset yet, you didn't bring in Shabbat yet. Only Boi V'Shalom. And then, of course, Mizmor She'em Bachu. That's the beginning of Shabbat. And if it's the winter, like nowadays, so when you daven, like we do every week, where the woman lights candles 20 minutes before sunset, and we go out to Mincha, then by the time we start L'chun Ranana, that's already after sunset. So we're not Mekabel Shabbat because L'chun Ranana, God already set the Shabbos in with sunset. So Kabbalat Shabbat just means the prayers that are getting us into the mode to get ready for that moment where we're going to Mekabel accept Shabbat. So that's what we're doing today. So we're going to have at 4:30. We'll have some divrei Torah and Chizuk for myself, and more, and then we're going to have the Kabbalat Shabbat together, a real Kabbalat Shabbat. We're the same as it always is. We're saying those beautiful psukim and the singing and the songs to get ready for that moment. Now, the moment this week is going to be a little different than usual because what's going to happen is we're going to have the divrei Torah and the singing together, listening into the Froelich family. That will go till 5:15. Now, candlelighting is 5:30, 5:31. So it's at that point, once we say Boi V'Shalom, that's when you start Shabbat. So we'll make sure not to do that. We're finishing right before that so everyone can turn off their computers. And then everyone at that point can accept Shabbat. So now let's just figure out the timing. The women already at 5:30 could light, so they could light already at 5:15, 5:20, right? Once we finish the program. The men, it's a little trickier. Why? Because the men also, why don't we start Shabbos early and right away at 5:15, let's do Boi V'Shalom and accept Shabbat. And it's even a great idea for the men and the women to accept early Shabbat, bring in more Shabbat, have in mind we want to have the mitzvah of Shabbat even earlier, and any extra mitzvah that we get, any time is good, and especially during a time of international crisis. So we'll start Shabbat right away. The men and the women will all start at 5:17, 5:20, whenever it is after we turn off our computers. There's one tricky part for the men. The tricky part for the men is that if we're going to be davening Boi V'Shalom and Mizmor Shir and then start Ma'ariv, wait a second, sunset is at what time? Sunset only is at 5:50. And then 5:50, we don't daven at sunset every day. We daven 20 minutes after sunset. This week we had a minyan for Mincha Ma'ariv at the shul, and we did it 20 minutes after sunset. So how are we davening almost an hour before the Zman? This week in shul we had Mincha Ma'ariv, we daven 6:10 Ma'ariv. Here we're going to be davening Ma'ariv at 5:20, 50 minutes before. So here's what we're going to do. We're all going to daven Mincha earlier. I strongly suggest that we daven mincha. If you go, there's a minyan chart online about when the minyanim in the neighborhood. There's one actually at 2 o'clock. Hopefully I'll send out this video, you'll be able to see it before. And at 2 o'clock, there's a mincha masas Mordechai. We should all daven mincha then. That's not Kabbalat Shabbat, obviously. That's just mincha. So we're davening mincha like an early summer davening, where we daven mincha before the plag time, early in the day. So if you could get, imagine either 2 o'clock in Masad or any other minyan that you see earlier. And then when we go ahead and finish at 5:15, so we at 5:17 or 18 can already say Baruch Shalom, and we could do Mariv. It's like an early Shabbat. And we did Mincha way early, and we could do Mariv way early. The only thing we have to remember is, of course, make sure that at nighttime at 6:29, 6:30, make sure you say Shema, because then it's already dark, and it's an absolute obligation from the Torah, for the men at least, to say all 3 Parshas to Shema by 6:29. If you do a little bit later, it's all right, but the earlier the better, just so you don't forget about it, and it's the mitzvah that's waiting. Okay, so let's just go over the schedule. What we're doing is we're all going to have mincha early. Ideally, if I get the video and send it out in time by 2 o'clock minyan, maybe I'll also send an email out to the shul to tell all the men to daven by 2, and have in mind we're davening at the same time as the 2 o'clock masas Mordechai, or maybe there's other minyanim on the Shemesh phone list to see if there is and synchronize with that. Either way, daven mincha before we start our program, and then we are going to have our program where it's still not Shabbat, when Mort speaks, when I speak, and we do Kabbalat Shabbat. It is not Shabbos yet. And then we'll have a grand old time together with learning and spirited Kabbalat Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat is not accepting the Shabbat yet, of course, but it's a typical Kabbalat Shabbat. Like in the summertime, at 5:15 we'll finish off. Close up the computers, not accept Shabbat right away, obviously, because we're turning off the computers and stuff. The woman will light the candles. Have in mind, I'm accepting Shabbos early for the special mitzvah, Mitzvah Shem, of Tosefet Shabbat, adding on to Shabbat. The men also can do that. And we're accepting Shabbat early, which is a great mitzvah, which allows us to daven Marv earlier than usual, as long as we do Mincha early as well. And then we'll go ahead and everyone have their own beautiful Shabbat Marv afterwards. Beautiful spirited Marav, Mitzvah Shem, each one in their own home. And we can start the meal early. Just don't forget 6:30. Really try to be careful. Switch watches to your other hand so you don't forget. I know already a few people that happens to, that they daven early, don't do it at the regular time, and then they miss Shema, which is mitzvah from the Torah. We don't want that to happen to anyone. And then in Mitzvah Shem, after Shabbat, we'll have Shimon Cohen and a Havdalah, where he'll do the Havdalah over the computer, just like Dov and the family is doing the Kabbalat Shabbat. Of course, when Shimon does it, we're not Yotze from him. We're all going to do Havdalah in our own homes, but just to have the spirit of Achdad and unity, and the Shimon's inspiring Havdalah to be a great way to start off the week. Mitzvah Shem, we should go ahead and just take everything in stride. I know these are hard times, but Mitzvah Shem, we should be upbeat, we should be happy, enjoy our families, and enjoy whatever situation you have, make the most of it. And in Mitzvah Shem, we should just go Michayel L'chayel, from strength to strength, and we should have better days ahead. Shalom. Looking forward to seeing everyone at 4:30. Bye-bye.